Do you find your hairbands are giving you headaches, migraines, temporal pain, and overall just head problems? Do you find them hard to get off your wrist? They give you pain. Are they hard to maneuver? When you finally do get a hold of them, they end up snapping just to hurt you that little bit more. Do you find them hard to control and often they fly off in weird directions and you lose them on the ground? Well, don't worry. Today is your day. We have got a solution for you. Introducing the very first knitted scrunchie. This bad boy could be yours for the low price of 4 equal installments of $69.69. That is correct, $69.69. Hi, welcome. Welcome back for some of you guys. My name is Evie, and I will be your host for today. I hope you enjoyed that little bit of infomercial at the start. Infomercials are great. The overreacting and overacting in those are just beautiful, okay? They're so good. They have a little special place in my heart because they're hilarious. But if you like me and you're currently in self-isolation and you are struggling a little bit to kind of cure all boredom, as it can get a little bit boring in this house, I thought I'd make a series of creative things to do while in self-isolation, or just in general. So I thought I'd put together kind of a new series on this channel. I know I usually game, and I will be back with some gaming, don't you stress. The video after this will in fact be gaming, so if you're here for the gaming videos, please don't go. They'll be back. I'm so sorry. But alas, I thought I'd mix it up. Help those of you who are, like me, a little bit bored, try and get rid of that boredom. Push it out the door. Say, sorry, you're not welcome here. And get a bit creative. Get those juices flowing. Get a little bit moist with creativity. I'm so sorry, that was terrible. Moist. We're gonna make this knitted scrunchie boy. Now I have made 3 scrunchies in the past 2 days because I have a problem and knitting is really addictive. I know. I'm bringing back, I'm not gonna say it's a dying art. I feel like lots of people still knit. I just feel like lots of people my age don't. And this is what I've made. This one, best kind of knitting so far. I like the style. It's just fucking massive, which is a problem. Although it still works, there's nothing wrong with it. It just doesn't really sit on your hand without falling off. This one, a little bit too small, a little bit too tight. Still works though. Nothing wrong with it. I'll still use it. And then we've got this bad boy, my first one. Rough around the edges, but pretty much the correct size. I don't know how I hit the nail on the head with this one so much. And I thought some of you guys, like me, might actually have some knitting wares tucked away somewhere. Or your parents or your significant other in the house might actually have some really scary pointy chopsticks in the house. These bad boys could be weapons if you needed them to be. And let's create another scrunchie, shall we? Okay, so before we get started, I do actually need to probably tell you what you're gonna need. Some yarn, some knitting needles. Want to do it the easy way though? Just do it with a hair tie, a little hair elastic, whatever you've got going around. And if that is the case, you will not need elastic and some sewing supplies. You will, however, need a big ol' needle. I've got the home repair needles here with this big ol' chunky needle. It is a big boy. It's thick. It's got a big enough hole up the top to actually thread some yarn through it. So just keep that in mind. You don't have to do it with this, but you will need sewing supplies of some kind. You can probably get away with sewing it with just straight up thread if you want to. Okay, so let's just jump straight on in. Let me teach you how to start. I think it's called casting. I could be wrong. The YouTube knitting community, if you stumble across this video, I'm so sorry. That's just it. I'm so sorry. I'm probably butchering every word, saying it all wrong. And don't know how to knit for shit. Lol. Poet, and I didn't even know it. So let's, without further ado, jump straight on in. This is such a weird pose. I feel like, paint me like one of your French girls. Except I'm not naked and we're not on a sinking boat. Okay, so to get started, you want to do this thing called a slip knot. Wow, not note. It doesn't make the band seem quite as heavy knowing that a slip knot is used in knitting now, does it? Okay, so you want to grab the string in your hand. You want to grab the bit that is actually connected to the yarn ball. Still, loop it around over the top. tuck it around behind it, and then poke it through and pull it. Okay, I do realize that that is probably a little bit too fast for you, so let's do it again, shall we? Grab the string, loop it around, making sure that it is on top, and then grab the string, poke it around the back, poke it through, and then pull it tight, and voila, a slip knot. Congratulations, you have now officially earned your first badge as a Girl Scout. Okay, and then you just want to slide it straight onto the knitting needle and pull it tight. And there you go, that is the start of your cast. Next up is a thing that I call the loop and swoop. Is that the correct term? No, but that's what we're going to be calling it. This is how to get enough stitches on the actual first row of knitting that you need. So you want to hold it in whichever hand is dominant, grab it, loop it around your finger, keeping it relatively taut, but don't stress too much. Loop it around, and then tuck the needle underneath it. Yes, and then let it go of your finger, and voila, you have your first or second stitch. And just keep doing that until you have enough stitches on the actual needle. I like to go for probably about 16 for this. I mean, you could go 15, you could go 17. It's not going to matter actually too much, but I found 16 was a pretty good amount to go with. So to get a pretty good idea of how wide your actual knitting is going to be, just spread them out on the needle as kind of far as they go. And that's a rough indication of how wide your knitting is going to be once it is all complete. Okay, so now we're on to the knitting part. I'm terrible with the descriptions, so please bear with me ever so slightly. You want to take that needle with nothing on it, tuck it under the stitch so there is 2 needles under the 1 stitch. You then want to place that needle more behind the needle with the stitching on it, and take that yarn and loop it behind, around, and in between the two needles. You'll see me do it here. I hope that makes sense. You then want to pull the second needle down and loop it over the top of that bit of yarn that you just did. You then want to bring that stitch up off the first needle and bring it off it so it transfers onto the other needle. Done. Finito. I hope that made some sense. I'm sorry if it didn't. I'm terrible with descriptions. Okay, so tuck that second needle underneath that stitch again so they're sharing the same stitch. Loop it around, tuck it back under, and then pull it off, and voila, you're done. I mean, I finished that whole row, but voila, you have officially knitted your first row of knitting. Congratulations. It goes pretty fast, it's not too long, it gets faster the more you do it, so don't stress about how long it is taking you. You'll get in a rhythm, you'll find it, and you'll absolutely nail it. Okay, so now that you've done that 3 times or so, I think that's what the second pass through of it, you now just need to do it like another 60 times. Casual, another 70 times, maybe. But let the fun montage of me knitting like a madman begin. I realise that I've actually turned into quite a grandma in this whole isolation situation. I mean, although I kind of was beforehand last night, I kind of laughed to myself because I ate dinner at like 5:30 and then was knitting by about 6 o'clock until I went to bed. Now, if that doesn't scream little old grandma, I don't know what does. It's been half an hour, 40 minutes. It does not look like much, but I promise you, it is. That is probably about 1/3 of the length that you need, so really it'll be down to about here. This is what it looks like, and this is what I mean by stretchy, like. So don't stress if it's a little bit shorter, not quite long enough, you can stretch it ever so slightly. It's not a big deal. This has been an hour, okay? It's getting there. When you just remember that it's going to be like folded in half, it's still not quite long enough. I think I want to take it to like, maybe like another another chunk to it, like that should be fine. So I feel like another 15-20 minutes of it knitting should suffice. So that is an hour's worth of work. It is far from perfect, but it's really satisfying. I think I'm happy with this. This took me like just under an hour and a half, I reckon. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. I'd say hour and a half to do this. Now that seems like a really long time to be sitting here knitting in front of a camera. Kinda is. Kinda blacked out for it, not gonna lie. Got in the zone. Got in the ah, that's the Twilight Zone. But that's the X-Files theme. That doesn't work. I just got in the knitting zone. You know how it is. You know when you put your mind to something and just time flies. That's what happened here. But we have come to the point where now we're like, well shite. How do I finish this? Don't you worry, I've got you covered. Congratulations, you've pretty much finished. You've just got one step left to do, and that is, I don't know, I'm gonna call it casting off, but that could also be wrong. Now this seems tricky, I promise you it's not. It just can be a little bit fiddly and hard to do for the first couple. So you want to actually do your first 2 stitches like you would be doing a complete another row. Now once you have done that second stitch and it's onto the other needle, you then want to tuck the needle in your left hand under the first stitch that you did. It can be a little bit tricky, okay? I'm struggling a little bit. It's hard to do it in front of a camera. And then pull it up and over the second stitch. Does that kind of make sense? Bring it up and over and actually take it off the needle. So you're left with 1 stitch on there. And that is the second stitch. So then stitch the next one and repeat all the way across the needle. It's as simple as that. Just be careful not to drop it. You potentially can fuck up your whole knitting if that's what happens. So be careful, take your time, go slow. It's not a race. I promise you, it's not a race, but I win. And then you are left with the singular little loop. Now, I don't know the correct way to do that, but you do need some scissors and I don't have them, so give me 2 seconds. Okay, so I'd recommend just cutting the cord. Congratulations on your new beautiful baby. With that last little loop, I then just thread it through. And voila. I don't know if that's fully sturdy or not. I like to tie another knot just in case. Okay, so if you've done any form of stitching before, this is pretty straightforward. If you haven't, it's also pretty straightforward. You just stitch up this edge. However, if you are using a hair tie and not elastic like me, you cannot turn this inside out. You need to put the hair tie in between that right now, and you're gonna have that edge on the outside. It's just the rules. I don't make them. It's how it's gotta be. Or maybe you can, and I just don't know how to do it. But if you are like me, just stitch this all up, turn it inside out, and then don't worry about it. We'll be on to the next bit before you know it. And then you have a nice little knitted peen. And there we have it. I mean, you can see the seam, but it's not quite as drastic as it would be if I had it the other way, because it would sit flat. Now, a good way to get a measurement for the actual elastic is to grab a hair tie that you want, stretch it out as far as you can, and stretch the elastic with it. So you want double that length. And then you will just want to sew that little bit together. Now be careful here, you're potentially going to end up poking yourself with a needle. Also, don't take my advice on how to sew because it's not very good, but make sure you do a good chunk of couple passes through because, I mean, it's really got to hold when stretched. Okay, and then just like the first lot of stitching, just stitch up this edge. I'm doing a different stitch. I don't know what it's called. I'm just using what my brain thinks would work. And just stitch it up, finish it up, and you're done. Voila. You are almost finito bonito. And there we have it. A scrunchie. Knitted and made by yours truly. Okay, my dudes, this bad boy right here is the finished product. Nice donut boy. And here is the original one I made. I'm going to put them side by side for you so you can see the difference. So this one here is the one that I originally made. It looks like a flat little pancake. I sewed that seam on the outside and I didn't turn it inside out like after I'd sewed that seam. So that's the only difference between the two of these. They'll probably both work the same in your hair, but this one just looks so much more finished and so much nicer. This is exactly why I wanted two knitted mustard scrunchies, so I can put my hair up in two little space buns like this and look like, is it Lily from Sex Education? My twin here. We look the same, pretty much. I hope that you guys found some enjoyment in this. I hope that you guys will potentially make them yourselves. I love them. I now have a thing for knitted scrunchies. Normal scrunchies? No thank you. Knitted scrunchies? Yes please. But if you guys did enjoy this and you do happen to recreate these yourselves, please tag me in your goodies. All of my little links are down below. Instagram, oh it's raining, Twitch, which I will be streaming pretty much every weekday for the next couple of weeks, probably until my internet runs out, as I am trapped inside. Like most of us, so if you would like to come hang, I stream 8:30 AM Australian Eastern Standard Time. But if you guys did, of course, enjoy this crafternoon, don't forget to like and subscribe for more boredom crushes and boredom busters. I feel like they've all been used before. I'll come up with one before the next video. Don't you stress about that. But don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!